Once a former fishing village, Denmark is also a storytelling inspiration, with castles that helped inspire Hamlet, and Hans Christian Andersen writing The Little Mermaid, and is home to the free city of Christiana, a marijuana mecca. Copenhagen also is famous for Michelin Star Restaurants, two of the oldest amusement parks in the world, voted as the happiest country, and home to Lego. Let me show you around this quirky city and the best things to see in Copenhagen, Denmark.
We just got our city pass for 24 hours. It's around 160 Danish kroner for the day. You want to make sure that you have this. Now, there's these little it looks like a check-in thing, but I can't figure out. Oh, look, yeah, that worked. You just scan it on there so you make sure that when you get on the train that they know you're checked in. Okay, to be honest, you guys, I get really nervous taking public transport because I'm so afraid that I'm gonna get lost. So for anyone else who gets nervous on public transport, we're taking the M3 out to Nyhavn, whatever, however you say it, this word. And it's on the M3 or the M4. We're gonna take the M3. Welcome to Copenhagen. When you come here, the first stop I suggest here is at Nyhavn Harbor, meaning New Harbor. While it is a very touristy area, it is the classic Copenhagen card everyone gets with the colorful houses in the background. It was built by King Christian V in the 17th century, and the harbor houses many historical wooden boats near the King's Square. In fact, it is considered a veteran ship museum harbor. This particular harbor was notorious for beers, bars, scallywags, sailors, and prostitutes. However, not everyone that lived here was notorious for trouble. The famous author Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote The Little Mermaid and Thumbelina, lived at house 10 at first and then moved to house 67, and lastly in the house 18 in the last years of his life. He collected tales from these scallywags that he turned into stories, and you can see a memorial plaque on the house commemorating his time here. House number 9 is the oldest and most colorful townhome dating back to 1681. If you turn to the southern side of the harbor, you can see mansions of wealthy that live here. Today, it houses patrons who love to visit the longest bar in Scandinavia. Right along here, you can find cafes, music, dancing, and that is available here for 24 hours a day. This is the anchor that actually commemorates the 1,700 men and women who gave their lives during World War II to protect Denmark. We are headed off to see the Little Mermaid statue and then taking the train over there. Man, the public transport here is so great. For me to say that, it is really easy to navigate this. So a great way to save money is to actually take a water taxi or the water bus. If you get the 1 day or the 24-hour pass for the metro, it does include the water taxis or the water buses. We are on our way over to the Little Mermaid and just gonna look at the gorgeous coastal views of Copenhagen.
On the way to see the Little Mermaid statue, you also have another mermaid statue, Agneta and the Merman. Basically, a woman from the village ended up falling in love with a merman, having 7 sons, and then one day heard the church bells ringing and found out it was for her father who had died, who had been looking for her. She felt so much guilt, she ended up abandoning her merman and staying with her land family. I got us on the wrong boat. It was the 991 that we got on, and there weren't any postings of where the boat went. So got on that one, and it was supposed to be the 992 boat. So we got the train out to Ostaport and are now walking to the Little Mermaid. If you haven't read the real story of Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid, you should. As far as visiting the statue, it is a little bit underwhelming, especially with all of the tourists crawling all over the place. There is a unconventional Little Mermaid just down the pathway, though I suggest viewing. And from across the water, you can see the power plant that doubles as a ski resort.
All right, folks, today we are on day 2 of exploring unique things in Copenhagen. On today's docket, we are going over to Rosenborg Castle, built by Christian IV, with some pretty unique things inside. Then we're going over to Christiana, a free town here in Copenhagen. We're going to try to also hit Green George and I call it Superkilen, but it's totally the wrong name. This name. Okay, let's get going before I dig myself into a bigger hole. First stop, though, before any of it is at Le Glace Bakery to show you some more pastries. So if you haven't checked out that video on the best pastry shops to see and taste in Copenhagen, make sure to check that out, and let's get on the road. So when you're here in Copenhagen, you want to make sure, for all of my US friends, that you are watching both for cars and bikes. It's kind of like Amsterdam, and these people fly through here. You don't want to get hit by anything. All right, we are here at Rosenborg Castle. This is a 400-year-old Renaissance castle built by Christian IV. With his colorful personality, it became one of his favorite castles. This is also where the crown jewels of Denmark are kept. It has a beautiful park and kitchen gardens that supplied the court that was staying here with fresh food. It was actually built in 4 different stages over the last 28 years, and this is also where Christian IV passed away. This is his bedchamber. You got the fireplace. So this is the secret, or what he would call the toilet area. It has a nice view of the front in case he ate something bad and needed to have a little time alone on the John. This would be Frederick II and his queen and their son. This is Christian V's bedroom, and he actually had a lever installed next to his bed where he could raise the drawbridge from his bed. Kind of micromanaging, but pretty cool, modern, almost a modern amenity. So right behind me here, this is actually Christian IV's pedigree. Being from a country where we don't really have kings and queens, at some point we had to start making things up on what the items were actually used for, like the Mirror of Destiny or something like that. And at the end of the tour, we headed out to the moat where Christian's daughter's fiance ended up drowning in the moat, tragically. After a quick stroll through the King's Gardens, we stopped for a bite to eat. Make sure to check that video out of best places to eat on any budget in Copenhagen. We went over to Nyhavn Harbor to meet up with our group who had signed us up for a politically incorrect tour, which I highly recommend. I laughed so hard on this tour. Some of it was a little bit uncomfortable, so definitely not a tour for kids, but I will link it in the description box below for those who want a little bit more of a unique tour.
Known as the new Nordic cuisine, and the first restaurant that broke through is called Noma. Was located right in here for the first years of its existence. Noma quickly became known as one of the world's greatest restaurants, but Noma had a problem because in 2016 the bridge opened and all the tourists wanted to come and see Noma, so they stood around the restaurant googling inside the restaurant, and then they're like, people paid €1,000 just to sit here, so we're gonna close it down. So they decided to reopen in Sydney, in Tokyo, in Mexico City, using new Nordic cuisine techniques. How do you bring Danish ingredients to Mexico? Well, you don't. So main chef Nyhavn, he decided to redo everything. He tasted everything he could, and he did a menu for a few months, and everyone says it was the greatest food. And then he shut down and opened in the outskirts of Christiana, probably so he can use some of their special herbs. See, Noma has never ever made money. Never. €1,000 a head, including wine, and they've never made money. Why? Well, main chef Nyhavn, he is a mad scientist. I always think it's funny, he's one letter away from his last name being recipe. But nonetheless, Noma has never made money. So they've just kind of tried to do the craziest thing, and then had all the investors pouring money into this restaurant, which in many ways was failing. But main chef Nyhavn found out he could make money from the brand. And that's why he has the street food market just over here. The food market here, I think, is of higher quality, but Refn is more of an experience. Today we have most Michelin Star restaurants per capita in the whole wide world because of this place. Famous for serving 24 tiny courses. One of them one year was live ants in foam. One was frozen bees. One was deer penis. Yeah, don't worry, it was not erect. But Noma was located right in here until they moved outside of Christiana. They are shutting down Noma once again. Nyhavn, he's trying to figure out what else he's going to do. He always seems to be evolving. He's a crazy dude. And it all started in here in the early 2000s.
Copenhagen is not known for being the cheapest city in the world, so he did recommend some of the food street markets listed here that you can visit to be on a budget-friendly food journey. Christiana was founded in the 1950s, where 1,500 people moved in, basically hippies. There was a huge drug trade here with ecstasy, heroin, and marijuana. After several people died, they took everybody, put them in the Ark, where they were in there for 40 days and 40 nights and came out clean. After that, it was mainly marijuana that was traded. Gangs here that were involved were like Mackerel until Hell's Angels moved in and now has controlled it ever since then. Estimated that there is a 1 billion Danish crown drug trade that happens here, and you cannot videotape at all, especially on Pusher Street where they sell most of the marijuana. A journalist tried to videotape and had his phone shoved up his butt, so consider yourself warned. Our guide in particular told us that he has been threatened for bringing tourists in, so we talked about Christiana outside, and then once we were inside, we happened to follow him to his favorite bar and had a beer inside, and we could leave at our leisure. After Christiana, we made our way over to the Lego store where Lego was actually invented. I mean, it's a must when you're here, right? And then over to Tivoli Gardens, which inspired Walt Disney to create Disneyland and Disney World. Welcome to Tivoli Gardens. This park is one of the oldest amusement parks, the second oldest. The oldest one is actually right next to this one. This amusement park is actually what inspired Walt Disney to create Walt Disney World. Gonna go check this place out and then meet up with my other friends, Dom and Camille, who will be joining us for dinner at Noma tomorrow.
For being a theme park, Tivoli Gardens is reasonably priced, but can be expensive for some if you pay for the rides individually. The entrance fee just to go in is around $19 US. A ride pass for a full ride pass is an additional $37. It's definitely worth going in just to see the second oldest amusement park in the world. The gardens were definitely beautiful, and it was a nice reprieve from the busy city center of Copenhagen. Copenhagen is a beautiful, quirky, historical city I highly recommend visiting. While we didn't get to see everything, including the amazing museums and Superkilen Park, it definitely is worth a look while you're in Copenhagen. I'll see you in the next one.